Most terribly cold it was on this night. It snowed heavily, darkness settling in, the last evening of the year. Through these bitter streets walked a poor little girl, bareheaded, with naked feet. True, she had left home wearing slippers, her mother's old ones. But what good were they now? So large they were that she lost them while hurrying across the street, startled by two carriages racing past. One slipper vanished without a trace. The other, well, a young boy had snatched it up and ran away, laughing as he declared it would make a perfect cradle for his future children. And so she walked on, her tiny feet turning red and blue from the bitter cold. In her old apron, she carried matches, clutching a bundle in her small, frozen hands. Her day had been fruitless, not a single match sold, not one farthing earned. She crept along, trembling from cold and hunger, the very picture of sorrow. Snowflakes settled in her long, fair hair, beautiful curls framing her neck, though such beauty was far from her thoughts now. From every window, candles gleamed warmly, and the delicious aroma of roast goose filled the air. It was New Year's Eve, after all. Yes, of that she was keenly aware. Finding shelter in a corner between two houses, she huddled down, drawing her little feet close to her body. I can't go home. For with no matches sold and no money earned, she knew only her father's anger awaited her there. Besides, home offered little comfort. Just a roof with whistling winds, despite their best efforts to plug the gaps with straw and rags. Her little hands were nearly frozen. Oh, just one match might bring such comfort. Trembling, she took one match from her bundle. Risht! How it blazed, how it burned. She held her hands over the warm, bright flame. What a wonderful light. To the little maiden's wonder, she found herself sitting before a magnificent iron stove with burnished brass feet and beautiful ornaments. How warm, how wonderfully warm. She stretched out her feet to warm them too, but then the flame went out. The stove vanished. She sat there holding only the burnt-out match. Quickly, she struck another match against the wall. As it burned brightly, the wall before her became transparent like a veil. Inside the room, she saw a table, covered with a snow-white cloth, set with fine porcelain. And there, steaming magnificently, sat a roast goose stuffed with apples and dried plums. Then something amazing happened. The goose, she whispered excitedly. It's moving. Yes, the goose actually hopped down from its dish, waddling across the floor with knife and fork still in its breast, coming straight toward the poor little girl, when the match went out. Only the thick, cold, damp wall remained. She lit another match, and this time, oh, what splendor! She found herself sitting beneath the most magnificent Christmas tree she had ever seen, even grander than the one she'd glimpsed through the merchant's glass door. It towered above her, thousands of candles burning bright on its green branches. Colorful pictures, just like those in shop windows, seemed to smile down at her. The little maiden reached out her tiny hands toward them when the match went out, but the Christmas lights began to rise higher and higher, transforming into stars in the heavens. Suddenly, one star fell, leaving a trail of fire across the sky. Someone has just died, she whispered softly. Her voice trembled as she remembered her grandmother's words. When a star falls, a soul ascends to God. She struck another match against the wall, and in its gentle glow, there stood her grandmother, radiant and bright, looking at her with such love, such tenderness. Grandmother, She cried out joyfully, her voice filled with longing. "Oh, please take me with you. I know you'll disappear when the match burns out, just like the warm stove, the delicious goose, and the beautiful Christmas tree." Frantically, she struck all the remaining matches against the wall, determined to keep her grandmother with her. The matches burst into a brilliant light, brighter than the noonday sun. Never had her grandmother appeared so beautiful, so tall. She took the little maiden in her arms, and together they soared upward in brightness and joy, higher and higher, where there was no cold, no hunger, no pain. They were with God. As dawn broke on New Year's morning in that same corner, there sat the little match girl, leaning against the cold wall. Her cheeks were rosy, and a gentle smile graced her lips. "Poor little thing," said a passing stranger softly. She tried to warm herself. Nobody knew. No one could possibly know of the beautiful visions she had seen that night. None could imagine the splendor in which she and her grandmother had entered the joy of the new year. There she sat, frozen on that last evening of the old year, still holding her bundle of burnt matches. But her spirit had already soared far beyond the cold and darkness, into the warm embrace of eternal light. The little match girl had finally found her way home.